Hello and welcome to this quick pitch video on how to host all of your IoT project on just a single R1520LG, which is Robustel's new and unique LoraWAN gateway. And this is not just a view of the LoRa gateway, but it's how Robustel's new Debian-based dual OS can create really good opportunities for everyone operating in industrial automation, IoT, and that kind of project space, getting data from the edge to the cloud. So without further ado, let's look at the demo environment. So we have an R1520LG, to say new LoRa gateway from Robustel. You can get more details online at robustel.com. It's hosted publicly, and what we're demonstrating here is that there's multiple layers of software that you can install very easily. I mean, most Linux boxes have some kind of capability, but it's the ease of use of root access to Debian that is enabling developers to move really fast. So Robustel's very colorful new OS is on port 80, which we'll have a look at. We then have ChirpStack, which is, many of you will know, is kind of the de facto network server for LoRa. We then have a Python application taking the output from ChirpStack, giving a little bit of visualization and doing some protocol translation. And we'll show the SSH, but you get root access into the Debian environment and just show how familiar and how simple it is to develop on this product range. So let's jump straight in. So this is Robustel's new RobustOS Pro operating system interface. It's a really clever thing that's been done here. This is actually a Debian application. So under the bonnet, this is all Debian Linux. But we've taken the legacy OS, made it into a Debian application, and give you many of the familiar features that customers have got used to, and obviously enhancements, a much more colorful user interface. So if you just want to use the R1520LG as a packet forwarder, no problem at all. Standard LoRa settings as you would expect, and away you go. In this example, we're showing how you can do absolutely everything on the box, and potentially that saves the cost of a separate embedded PC or even a Raspberry Pi. We know that people use for this for these fairly sort of small self-contained deployments. And in fact, you can port the code directly from your Raspberry Pi into this environment. So that's the operating system, and there's many features in there as you would expect. But if we start to dive into the other software on board, so we now can show the ChirpStack environment. Again, all hosted on the same R1520LG, being run by the same ARM CPU. And so we can look at things like one of the most important things that we need to do in ChirpStack is decode the sensor data. So we actually have that data to hand locally to use. So we get that output from ChirpStack, and the devices themselves are all online, and you get all of the wonderful features of ChirpStack as you would expect. So we then go on to look at the next layer of software, which, if I can get there, just happens to be hosted at 8081. And this is a custom Python application written by our good friend Eldar at Robustel. And this is effectively an expression of the sensors that are configured to speak with the ChirpStack LNS. And the purpose of this application originally was that we want the benefits of wireless distribution of sensor data by LoRa, but we actually want at the front end all of those to be represented as Modbus TCP addresses. Basically, the device becomes one big slave to represent all the data. So in itself, not a very complicated, overly complicated example, but certainly a very common example of the sort of thing people are doing out there. And the key issue here is that an R1520LG is, even with a global 4G module and a LoRa chip inside, is relatively very, very low cost. So the fact you can remove even a Raspberry Pi or an embedded PC as well with this single box is extremely compelling from a business case perspective. And the final thing we'll just come on to here is the web SSH client. So again, same IP address. This time on port 22 because we're doing SSH. And we have a user of Sudoku and a password. This is just a great little online SSH tool that we found that's great for demoing. And here we are. We have unfettered root access to this product. And there's actually some really smart stuff that's been done to disambiguate how Robustel's operating system, RobustOS Pro, uses the underlying kernel and how Debian is using it. So there's a lot of thought gone into the disambiguation, basically, of the resources. So it's really, really smart under the bonnet. But if we just take you to the root, so we're at the root folder. So if we navigate our way, and this is just all, very familiar Linux stuff to any developer. And that's kind of the point. This isn't a bespoke development environment or a slightly quirky one. This is just full fat Debian Linux, which the value is the familiarity. So you can get started developing immediately. So we've gone to home, and then Sudoku is folder, and then we have the actual folder for the application. And they are the Python files, all in that folder, that is giving us a nice dedicated application on port 8081 to manage some protocol translation. But as I'm sure any even vaguely conversant software people will know, once you've got this sort of root access, you can apt-get anything from the cloud. You can install Node-RED. That is another great tool in this environment. Basically, the world's your oyster with this setup. And the most important thing to reiterate is you've already got lots of software you can use, including the cloud platform from Robustel. There's amazing features. You can reach all of this over Robustel's robust VPN environment, so you don't need public IPs as we're using in this demo. And if you're really sad, a bit like we are, you can even make an ASCII steam train go across the screen of your R1520LG. So to summarize in this quick pitch, this is about not only the R1520LG as a LoRa gateway, but every RobustOS Pro based product. So that includes the EV8100 and all of the EG5000 series of products. This is the kind of environment that is immediately available to developers, and commercially, this can make life much more simple, one box solution, and potentially saving the cost of additional embedded computers or single board computers. So that's all today. Thanks very much. Visit robustel.com for more information.